Step outside tomorrow morning and say one
Hello.
word, any word, your ordinary voice, your ordinary morning. Before the sound has even finished leaving your mouth, something has already happened. The chickadee at the feeder stopped chewing. The wren dropped one branch lower into the shrub. The crow 2 rooftops over turned its head towards something you cannot see. They did not react to your face. They never saw your face. They reacted to your voice. And here is the part
Good
nobody ever
morning, little
tells you.
friends.
They knew it was you before you cleared the doorway. The birds in your yard have been building a file on you. Not from your face, not from your clothes, not from your schedule. From the sound of your voice coming through glass, through walls, from across the yard. And what they do with that file in the half second after they hear you is one of the most remarkable things happening in your yard every single morning. Welcome to Bird Mind Theory. Today we go inside exactly how it works. You think you know what your voice sounds like. A bird would respectfully disagree. When you hear yourself say, "Good morning," you hear one soft, smeared blur of sound. A bird's auditory system takes that same blur and does something entirely different with it. Birds possess surprisingly sophisticated cognitive abilities when it comes to vocal recognition. Research has revealed they can distinguish between humans based on vocal cues, particularly in environments where humans pose a threat or offer a benefit. And the precision of that recognition goes far beyond simply detecting that a human is present. Research has shown that birds resolve fine acoustic detail inside a sound with extraordinary precision, far beyond what human ears can achieve. What arrives in your yard as one casual word arrives in a bird's auditory world as a rapid string of separate acoustic events, each one carrying specific information. Information about your size. A deep, low voice reads as a large body. A large body is worth monitoring. Information about your mood. Rushed, sharp speech doesn't register the same as slow, relaxed speech. The rhythm of how you speak tells a bird whether the large animal heading toward the yard is calm or agitated, and information about who you are. If they have heard your voice before, and they have many more times than you realize, that voice pattern is already filed, already compared, already answered before you take your first step outside. While you think you are saying good morning to nobody, a bird 10 feet away is reading a paragraph. Size, mood, identity, pulled from one word. Before you have moved an inch, there is a moment that happens right after your voice reaches a bird, and almost no one has ever watched for it, not because it is hidden, but because it is fast. In the first fraction of a second after your voice lands, the bird's body does something small and involuntary. Not panic, not flight, a tiny hitch. The feeding stops, the movement freezes. For a heartbeat, the bird goes completely still. That freeze is not fear, it is a search. In that sliver of time, the bird is running your voice against everything it has stored and asking 3 questions simultaneously. Do I know this sound? Is it safe? Is it the same as last time? Individual recognition in birds is widespread. Research using playback of recorded voices has shown that birds compare incoming sounds against stored acoustic patterns and respond differently depending on whether the voice belongs to a known or unknown individual. If your voice comes back as unknown, the bird eases backward, 1 branch farther, 1 degree more cautious, watching before committing. If your voice comes back as known and safe, something surprising happens. The bird does not flee. Sometimes it moves closer. Bird watchers who have paid careful attention to this report it consistently. A familiar voice can pull a bird toward the source rather than push it away. Your voice lands. The bird decides. Then you appear. You are always the last to arrive at your own entrance. Not every bird in your yard processes your voice the same way. Each species runs a different calculation, and understanding which one tells you exactly what you are looking at. The chickadee is the sharpest acoustic processor you have in your yard. Its entire social system runs on sound. Corvids like crows and ravens can recognize individual human voices and remember them for years. But research suggests the cognitive ability for vocal discrimination extends across many bird species with complex social lives. The chickadee that knows your voice doesn't scatter when it hears you. It pauses. It turns toward the sound. That is not alarm. That is interest. There is a real and measurable difference between the two, and once you learn to see it, you will never confuse them again. The crow is a different situation entirely. Research from the University of Lincoln and the University of Vienna working with crows showed that birds not only recognize individual humans, but also know who they know, something which could be very important for survival, since some humans feed them and others chase them. A crow that has filed your voice under safe will orient toward you when you speak. A crow that has filed your voice under threat will announce you to every other crow within earshot. Your reputation, broadcast across the block. Every time you open your mouth outside, the local crows update their record. The robin operates on different logic. Robins are foragers first. Your calm voice and slow footsteps signal that the ground near you might get disturbed soon. And disturbance means worms. So the robin edges closer. Not affection, business. But feed that same robin across a whole season and the calculation shifts. The voice that used to mean possible food starts to mean safe. Somewhere across those months, without either of you noticing when it happened, something changed. Here's the thing you never notice because it is too quiet and too fast. You are not speaking to one bird when you step outside. You are speaking to all of them simultaneously. You say something from the porch, and in under 2 seconds, the entire yard rearranges itself around the sound. The chickadee swivels at the feeder. The robin resets on the lawn. The nuthatch stops halfway down the tree trunk. The sparrows in the hedge go completely still. The crow on the wire turns to face you. Every single one of them just used your voice to answer the same set of questions. Where is the human? How far? Moving or stationary? Do we know this one? Answered. Filed. Done. Before you finish your sentence. Evidence strongly suggests that many bird species possess the cognitive ability to distinguish between humans based on vocal cues. And this recognition is particularly strong in environments where the birds have had repeated exposure to specific individuals. And then, if you check out as known and safe, the yard exhales. Every bird returns to what it was doing, like nothing happened, but something did happen. Every bird within earshot just ran a quiet safety check on you and let you pass. That is not a small thing. That is a form of trust that took months to build, and you built it without ever knowing you were doing it. For the birds that truly know you, your voice does something that should stop you cold the first time you understand it. It sets them in motion before you appear. A bird that has learned that your voice comes right before the feeder gets filled will start moving into position the moment it hears you, not when it sees you. Not when the door opens. When it hears you through the glass, through the wall, from one room away. It moves to the branch nearest the feeder. It drops whatever it was doing. It faces the door, and it waits. Research has shown that birds use what functions like a voice print, the unique acoustic signature in the timbre of a voice, to identify individuals. This voice print remains stable across different things a bird says, allowing recognition from vocal quality alone, rather than specific call patterns. That voice print, your specific voice print, is stable enough that birds can recognize it through walls, through glass, through the muffled filter of your house between them and you. They didn't just learn your face. They didn't just learn your schedule. They learned the sound of you being you, one room away, and built a behavioral routine around what that sound predicts. If your voice is your name to them, what happens the day it changes? When you are sick, your voice shifts. It sits lower. The rhythm changes. The pace drags in ways you do not consciously control, and the birds catch it. They do not bolt. They hesitate. They hang back. The voice they have memorized does not quite match today's, so they double-check before committing. The trust is there, but the verification takes longer than usual. You can test the opposite deliberately. Go stand near your feeder and speak in a voice that is not yours. Change the pitch. Change the rhythm. Sound like a stranger. Watch what happens in the next 3 seconds. More distance, slower return to the feeder. The birds that came within 2 feet of you yesterday are now watching from 6 feet away because the file they have been building for months does not match what just came out of your mouth. Unknown means check first, decide later. That is not wariness. That is intelligence operating exactly as it was designed. Here is what all of this actually means. You have a relationship with the birds in your yard. A real one, not a metaphor, not a pleasant idea, a measurable, documented, two-way dynamic where both sides recognize each other and where that recognition shapes behavior on both ends of the relationship. And you built it with your voice, out loud, one word at a time, without ever knowing it was happening. That one is known, that one is safe, that one is ours. If this changed how you hear your own yard, subscribe right now. Because every single week on this channel, We go this deep into what the birds outside your window actually know about you. Tell me in the comments, has a bird ever responded to your voice in a way you couldn't explain? A head turn, a hop toward you, one that always seems to know you're coming before you appear? Tell me which bird and what it did. I read every single one, and share this with someone who talks to the birds in their yard, because after this video, they will understand exactly who is listening.